All right, let's just dive right into it. Welcome to today's Explainer, where we're going to unpack one of the most universally talked about, yet honestly, deeply misunderstood subjects in human history. For centuries, right? Poets and artists have painted love as this mysterious, magical force that just kind of happens to us out of thin air. But today, we're peeling back the poetry. We're looking straight at the source material to uncover the fascinating, totally measurable science underneath it all. We're talking about the biological and psychological architecture of love. And spoiler alert, the actual mechanics behind your heart are just as beautiful as the art itself.
So, have you ever wondered why one person can completely change the way your heart and mind work? I mean, seriously, think about that for a second. You're just going about your normal, everyday life, and suddenly, boom, another human being steps into it, and your entire internal operating system just shifts. The way you think, the way your heart literally beats, how you make decisions, the whole shebang changes. Why does that actually happen? Well, psychology and biology have been obsessed with this for decades, and it turns out the answer is hardwired deep inside us.
And that brings us to this absolutely crucial realization. Love isn't just a feeling. I know, we tend to reduce it to a passive emotion, like, just being happy or being sad. But the research? It tells a completely different story. It's actually one of the most powerful, all-encompassing psychological experiences a human being can possibly go through. It doesn't just make us feel good, it fundamentally alters who we are.
So let's get into Section 1, Beyond Emotion, the brain in love as a biological process.
Moving right along to Section 2, Chemical Connections, the invisible architect.
Okay, here's where it gets really wild. When you fall for someone, your brain literally floods with dopamine. We're talking about triggering the exact same reward centers as a behavioral addiction. Crazy, right? That's what gives you that intense, butterflies in your stomach feeling of motivation and excitement. But then, you combine that dopamine hit with oxytocin, which is the chemical driving profound, deep attachment, and suddenly it all makes perfect sense. You understand exactly why your brain physically craves spending time with this specific person. It's this incredibly powerful chemical reward system doing its thing behind the scenes, making even the most boring, mundane moments feel completely unforgettable.
That takes us to Section 3, Healthy Relationships, the Psychology of Safety. Now, here's the practical side of all those chemicals. When you feel emotionally supported by a partner, your body literally responds by lowering stress hormones. Cortisol drops. It's like your nervous system taking a deep breath. This creates what psychologists call a crucial sense of psychological safety. Having that safe harbor physically alters how your body handles the heavy weight of a really bad day. Now look, it doesn't mean you're never going to feel stressed again, obviously, but it does mean that genuine emotional connection holds massive, totally measurable value for your everyday well-being.
And there's this massive myth out there that a perfect relationship means perfect harmony, right? Like zero arguments, ever. But that couldn't be further from the truth. Couples who practice honest communication and actually actively listen to each other build infinitely stronger bonds than those who just sweep things under the rug and avoid conflict altogether. Healthy communication isn't about never disagreeing. It's about respecting each other while solving a problem together. As they say, real strength is built in the repair, not in the avoidance.
So how do you actually build that? Well, you really don't need these grand cinematic gestures to build emotional security. It actually comes down to surprisingly simple everyday actions. We're talking about showing appreciation, offering a bit of encouragement, or just giving a sincere compliment. Seriously, these tiny little deposits of kindness act as the daily glue that builds unshakable trust over time. It's very rarely the massive, sweeping, movie-style gestures that define a long-term relationship. It's really those little, consistent moments that build the absolute strongest bonds.
And as we'll see, when relationships mature, our psychology naturally shifts. Think about it. In the early stages, our dopamine-soaked brains are wearing these big, thick, rose-colored glasses, right? We're focusing almost entirely on a loved one's positive qualities and just riding the pure excitement of that new connection. But as time passes, this psychology observes that this naturally transitions into something much more grounded, a deep, highly resilient foundation built on trust, respect, and profound understanding.
Which brings us to our final part, Section 4, Love is a Choice, Intentional Daily Effort.
Take a look at this. Real love isn't about finding someone perfect. It's about choosing to grow together despite imperfections. Let that sink in for a second. The strongest relationships out there, they're definitely not built by perfect people. They are forged through patience, empathy, honesty, and a whole lot of mutual respect. It's a living, breathing, active partnership, absolutely not a passive state of being. Because ultimately, love is a daily decision. It's the conscious choice to understand your partner, the choice to support them, and, This is a big one, the choice to stay kind even when things get really difficult. That initial dopamine rush we talked about, yeah, that might be the spark that brings you together, but it is these active, intentional, daily decisions that actually keep you together and keep that psychological safety completely intact.
And maybe that is exactly why psychology continues to study this whole phenomenon so deeply. Understanding love ultimately helps us understand ourselves. By looking at how we bond, how our brains chemically reward us for connection, and how we build trust through everyday communication and kindness, we're really unlocking the absolute truth about human nature. We are fundamentally wired for connection, and we thrive when we actively choose to nurture it.
So I want to leave you with a question to chew on today. Are you making the daily choice to understand, support, and choose your partner one day at a time? Whether you're in a relationship right now, or maybe looking forward to one in the future, remember that the science and psychology of love show us it isn't just a magical hole you fall into. It's something you actively build, chemical by chemical, and choice by choice. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. I really hope this helps you see the architecture of connection in a whole new light. Keep making those daily choices.